Whether you are on an adventure or at the downtown cafe, your answers are no more than a sniff away. Dog Training 360's purpose is simple: to teach you why dogs do what they do, as well as the action steps you need to take to have better communication, connection, consistency, and conceivability with your dog. Today on our podcast, I first want to say, thank you for everybody that's listening, and I hope that you're finding, especially in this time of our coronavirus pandemic of it all, that you're finding some inspiration to work with your dogs, but also finding some inspiration to learn more about dogs in general, and maybe looking at your dog from a different perspective. We also have a fantastic, adventurous YouTube channel that's coming up that we've been shooting some videos, so hopefully you'll have the opportunity to enjoy that, and also reading our blog, and then also logging on and signing up for our online dog training course. And we're getting amazing feedback of people really finding it super fun. Mm-hmm. Also staying motivated that they can watch a video and then go work on what they've watched. Mm-hmm. And so it's been fun to, hear people's feedback and that they are working with their dogs. And, for a minimal fee mm-hmm. of a lifetime of training, mm-hmm. you just
and full access
to everything.
Yeah.
And then we'll be doing some webinars and, training challenges and stuff like that on there too. So, I hope that you'll, find some direction, in listening to this, listening to our podcast, but also that we have a lot of resources out there that can help you continue your journey and your goals with your dogs and not feel, uninspired.
Mm-hmm. And that's totally geared toward working at home.
Yeah.
At your own pace.
Yeah, exactly.
So it can fit right into whatever you've got going on while you're staying home.
Right. Right. And, watch a video at night and dream about it and get up and work in the morning with it.
Oh,
It really is so unlimited and so flexible that mm-hmm. it works around anybody, really. Mm-hmm. So let's get started talking about today, of what we're going to talk about. And that is routines and how we incorporate training into routines. So mm-hmm. we're not necessarily having a very structured training session. Sometimes your dogs are completely trained in the household, and then you're like, I need to do something. And mm-hmm. and most people, the go-to or the fall to is going out and going for a walk. Mm-hmm. And because what else do you do with your dog now that your dog is trained? Mm-hmm. So the one really, really, really important thing is routines can be an opportunity to create training. Mm-hmm. And this or that mentality in the routine mm-hmm. creates a mindful dog. Mm-hmm. And so, the first thing that I like to do with just one routine is when the dogs are outside mm-hmm. and I step outside. Mm-hmm. It's really important for me to work on, especially with the puppies at the house right now mm-hmm. with my 3, is not jumping.
Oh, uh-huh.
And so we work on
not
jumping and saying hello. Mm-hmm. Every time we go out,
mm-hmm.
we touch them,
mm-hmm.
we walk, we chit chat with them. I'm out scooping poop, in my routines, but one of the biggest goals is not jumping. Mm-hmm. So as we, think about routines, think about what triggers our dogs to jump mm-hmm. and work on shaping and molding that behavior mm-hmm. of having fun around us, but we don't need to leave the ground.
Sure. And I think there's a lot of value in continuing to do what you're going to do anyway, but keeping your dog with you. Yeah. Like for the example of cleaning up poop. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When you have a bunch of dogs that you're training, and especially when you're training them not to jump all over you, it's way easier to have them all inside and you go out and just clean up all the poop, right?
Yeah.
But there's value in you specifically leaving them out and going to pick up the poop to find this moment to train while I'm bending over to pick up this poo. You leave me alone.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
like at my house, I clean up all the poo in poo bags.
Yeah.
And so I have a little holder, one of those little holders that holds your poo bags. And when I get the poo holder, and I'll tell the dogs, who wants to go clean up poop? And then they see that I have that, and they all run to the door, and they all come out with me to clean up poop. And we do it every day because we clean up poo multiple times a day.
Yeah.
But if I ask them, do you want to go outside? They might choose no.
Right.
But if I say, who wants to go clean up poop? And I have this, my poo bags, then they're like, oh, yeah, of course it's time to go and clean up poo, So we get our little poo bags and we go and clean up the poo. And they just walk around and sniff and do what they would normally do outside.
Right.
But it's this, like, clean up the poo routine that we have.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, exactly. My dad is a smoker, and, he'll tell his dog, let's go out and have a cigarette, and Dan goes out, and that's their... usually that's their playtime, and I have found, as crazy as it is, my dad doesn't smoke his cigarettes all the way down because he gets preoccupied with playing,
Yeah.
So again, it's just another routine to work on, having a relationship with your dog, but training, think about what it is you can do with each routine. So Shannon, let's talk about some of the morning things that you do that you kind of incorporate training into the routine.
Sure. So when we get up, we just go outside. That's like a necessity. We have to go to the bathroom, right? And then I let the dogs play outside while I get all their food ready. Yeah. Yep. So then when they come in, they go right to their kennel and eat their food. But I have a particular dog, Louie, that if it's too cold outside, he wants to come right back in. Yeah. Yep. So sometimes I'll just let him right back in, but then they go right to their kennel and wait in there. Yeah. Like while I continue getting all the food ready. Right. Because they know, like, we go outside and we play and then we get our food and we go in the kennel, right? Yep. And so then it depends on my schedule whether I have time to let him out again, or if I have to go do some errands or something and I leave him in there and let him out again later. But part of that training is the kennel time. Yeah. So we have the morning is our kennel time where we learn that we sleep in our kennels and we are happy with our kennels so that we will go in there when we need to. Yeah. You know, and all my dogs I've had quite a while now. And so the learning part, I guess, of being in the kennel is mostly past. Right, yeah. But it's still this routine that is a training thing because they have it to be comfortable to go in the kennel.
Yeah, for sure. The my morning routine is very much so the same. I think it pretty much is for everybody, except for, if you don't have a yard, you're going out for a walk, poo break walk in the morning. But the concept is still the same. So even if you live in a condo or apartment and your routine is that you go out and go for a morning poo and pee break, you should come in and they should be in their crates waiting for their meal time, and then while you're getting ready, they should be in their crates. And you shouldn't have to close the door. As they get used to this routine, they would just go and wait until, the food is placed in there. And even if you're not feeding in your crate at this stage, in life with your dog, I would still have them either come in and go onto their place. Sure. Or, go, wait at their spot of where they get fed at. So that it's this training opportunity to go, nope, you got to get on your bed before I put your food down. So even if you're not using a crate, you can still have a place that they wait.
Appropriate,
Yeah. Whatever that is. It can be on the couch if you want it to be on the couch, as long as it's done with politeness and kindness. And so, it doesn't, when we talk about a crate, the crates transition into beds. We always will continue to use crates for their entire life in some way, shape, or form. 'Cause it becomes one of their favorite places. My morning routine with the crates, and I'm trying to shift things right now again, because I have babies at the house, is that they don't necessarily, right now, they're in this, we come back in and we get in our crates and we eat and then we sleep, for an hour or two. And what I'm trying to transition right now is that they come in and hang out and have coffee with us.
Oh, cool.
And then we feed into our crates. And they're struggling. Patsy, not so much. Patsy enjoys her food, but Patsy enjoys being with us. Well, I mean, all of my dogs do, but the Caroline is very much so about the food.
Sure.
And it's very, very exciting. And so that routine is really important for her. And she's resisting a little bit about, I don't want to come hang with coffee. I need to have my breakfast. And so she paces and whines and carries on and paces. And then once she finally settles, then I immediately get up and get her, get breakfast for everybody. Amelia tends to hang down in her crate and wait. And then she'll sneak up and peek in to see what everybody's doing. And then she runs back down to her crate. So, you have to kind of let them have their routines and train this other routine that might or might not happen.
Well, and Louie's like really the same. Like Louie would way rather go back to bed than eat.
Yeah.
And so sometimes he won't go in his crate. He'll just go back in the bedroom and he's like, I'm ready to get back into bed now,
Yeah.
And then I say, no, it's time to eat,
Yeah.
So it's just like my other two dogs, they're like, yes, food, we're on it. We're in here. Right. Let's go.
Yeah.
And Louie's like, always would rather choose to go have a cuddle and overeating every time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's up to you on what your routine is, of whether you can accept that or not. I know some people are like, yeah, we take them out and then we go back to bed for a little bit longer, which is fine. But you have to remember that those routines, what if you don't do that routine?
Yeah.
And they do struggle with breaking those routines. And as we talk all the time about routines are good and how we do things are good and they need structure and they need routine, they can kind of get lost in routines.
Yeah.
And you forget to change paces sometimes or change gears. Like, nope, we're going to sit and have coffee right now.
Yeah.
Caroline is very much so by 10:30 ready to go down to her crate. And she'll, last summer she was terrible about, she's not going to hang outside and go sleep. As we're all sitting outside in the summer, and she was like, no, I open the door. I need to go. I don't care what the party's doing. We need to go inside and go to bed at 10:30. And so we're, Caroline is probably the most routine oriented. House.
Yeah.
And so she does struggle with, I want to get up on the bed, but no, I got to go down to my crate. This is really cool. I got to go down to my crate, know? And so as they mature, we like to transition them into some other things.
Well, and your routines change too. I mean, like,
for sure.
We really, the weekend we usually do go out and go for a poo and then go back to bed, right?
Yeah.
And when Mike started working from home, then he was home every day, and the dogs didn't know that it wasn't the weekend.
Right. Right.
And so we had a little transition period of like, no, we are working from home now,
Yeah.
So, but if you do change like every once in a while, they do adapt better than if you were like really rigidly think like, oh no, this is our routine and we have to follow it like 100% all the time. Yep. Like if you're kind of just like human about it,
right?
Then and not like a robot. Yeah. You do naturally change, and that is good. And you do, because you do have to change, like when you have to work from home all of a sudden. Yeah. And every day is not the weekend, but you are still home.
Yep. Exactly. And I think that, again, as much as we talk about routines, take the opportunity to change the routine a little bit, or add something in, or take something away, and use it as a training opportunity to help your dog understand, when I do this, you do this. Mm-hmm. When I do this, you do this. Mm-hmm. When I grab poo bags, we all go out and gather poop. Mm-hmm. When I come out in my pajamas with my shoes on, that means I'm scooping poop in the morning. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so it definitely can be challenging, but my first advice is to create the routine and then create the training piece to it.
Mm-hmm. I really love, my favorite is this or that. Like all my dog's house manners, I would say is like 90% based on that.
Yeah.
It really resonates with me, the way my mind works.
Yeah.
And so it's really easy for me to think like, what do I want my dog to be doing? Okay. What am I doing when I want that to happen?
Yeah.
Okay. How can I make them do that while this is happening?
Yeah.
And that really, you can apply it to everything in your house. Like really crazy things. When I'm doing the laundry, my dog does this. When I'm putting away the dishes, my dog does this. When I'm cooking dinner, my dog does this. When I go in to use the restroom, my dog does this. And my brain just thinks that way. And so I find it really, really easy to make everything in my house training all the time.
Yep. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because you just think, what would I prefer my dog to be doing? Like if you're being frustrated and annoyed that something's not happening, then you have to stop and think, what would I prefer my dog be doing?
Right.
Okay. Well, what am I doing that's signaling them to do this weird thing? And how can I change that into getting the result that I want?
Right.
And then you have to practice it every day. And that's where the routine comes, because you're practicing this like cause and effect thing every day, and it becomes the routine of your life, and then the dog learns to do what you want. So it's like, it takes a lot of time because you literally have to do it all the time every day.
Well, and we're creatures of habit anyway. We're people are routine in general.
But it's so easy for me personally, because that is like the way that I think.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. And that really is how like a dog's life starts in survival. Is when everybody lays down to sleep, I lay down to sleep. When everybody's playing, I play. When mom grumbles at me, I go. It's all this. It truly is. You do that, I do this. When mom's eating, we don't touch it. And so it truly starts at such a young age that they learn that concept. That from each other, that we just have to incorporate it into,
apply it to ourselves.
And living with a human. And they understand it's a much easier way to develop routines and expectations and not get frustrated. Because if our dog's doing something that we don't want them to do in the midst of us doing something, then we're the ones that are responsible to teach it differently.
Yeah.
We're all sitting down and watching TV, and the dog just wants to play, and nobody can sit on the floor because the dog's attacking everybody and playing and rumbling and rolling. Something has created and triggered that, or you have failed to show them what they should be doing, or they can't be with you. And they either need to be put on a back tire in their crates, but we always start the same. Everybody comes and gets on the floor. We hang out. We turn the TV on. And, are you going to choose to do this? Or are you going to choose to do something else?
Yep. And you wait for the dog to make a choice, and then you let them know whether it was right or not by your action. Right? Because if you don't want them to bite your toes while you're watching TV, but you don't tell them it's wrong, then you're telling them it's okay.
Yeah. Right. And if you don't give them something else, if you don't use that opportunity to redirect behavior,
to do something different,
sometimes I have people where I just tell them, well, maybe that's the time that you give them their bully stick.
Sure.
And then when they're done with their bully stick, then they can go, if they can't settle at that point, then they can go into their crate for bed. Or maybe that's the time you do your restraint downs. So they learn to relax, settle,
release their energy and relax.
Yeah. And so, thinking about, what it looks like, and teaching and being accountable for what you want your dog to do, instead of getting frustrated and irritated on not knowing what they need to do. So creating routines and training in the routines is a fantastic way to always, even if your dog's already trained, there's plenty of things to work on. Change the routine, change what you want them to do. Okay, now I don't need you to be in your crate. I want you to be on your bed. So there's always opportunities to train in the routines, no matter what the age of dog that you have and how well trained they are.